Every year we get a slow but steady drip of new Pokemon in Pokemon Go. And for 2024, I'm predicting some huge releases, massive mechanics, and all sorts of crazy stuff. And you can trust me, I got nearly half my 2023 predictions correct. Alright, let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Galar. If you take a look in your Pokedex, you'll notice that Pokemon Go left the Galar region on red. Like literally skipped over it and went into Paldea. Well, this year I say Galar gets justice. And I'm predicting we're gonna see the incredible starters from this region pretty much first. Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble. Which I think are some of the best starters in the wild, although their evolutions are a little mid. And speaking of their evolutions, what will they be like when they definitely come to Pokemon Go in 2024? Well, Sobble evolves into Drizzle, which evolves into Inteleon. Very James Bondy Pokemon. Unfortunately, it won't be as OP as that Brit because Inteleon maxes out at 3,351 CP and is a pure water type. Plenty of better options in the meta than this dude. What about Grookey? It evolves into Thwackey, which is literally a piece of Laffy Taffy, prove me wrong, which then evolves into Rillaboom, pure grass type at 3,758 CP, which might actually be viable in the meta. Then probably the fan favorite from this generation, Scorbunny. It evolves into Reboot, which evolves into Cinderace, a pure fire type with a max CP of 3,412. Might be good, might not be. It kicks a fireball around, so it's cool. And I'm sure many more Galarian Pokemon will be released throughout the year, and we're gonna have to see, but those are definitely the surefires. Next is another surefire. Drampa. Don't ask me how I know this, but unofficial leaks on the internet have seen this Pokemon in the game code, meaning it's coming out, and possibly coming out soon. It's also literally on the loading screen of the game, which guarantees that it's coming out soon. So, Drampa will be a very interesting case in game. A dual normal and dragon type with a max CP of nearly 3,300. And depending on what moves it gets, it could actually be super useful in Pokemon Go. And since it has no evolutions, I definitely predict this thing to come out into the raids. It's for sure being a raid Pokemon. We might even see a raid weekend for this thing that brings its brand new shiny form along with its release, which has happened quite a bit lately. And I'd be down for it, that'd be fun. The shiny looks great. Either way, it's a really, really cool Pokemon and I can't wait to see it. If you look again at the loading screen, you'll notice the Hisuian starters hanging out too. Hisuian Samurott has already been released this month in December of 2023, so obviously that one's already here and it's no brainer to assume the other two are gonna release soon as well. And actually I think Hisuian Typhlosion just got announced for a raid day in January, so I was going to predict that, but news came out and it's already coming out. But Hisuian Decidueye, definitely coming soon. It will be a sick dual grass and fighting type with a max CP of 3,275, and again, will most likely be released during a raid day. And then my personal favorite of the three, Hisuian Typhlosion, has been announced for January 2024, and it will be a dual ghost and fire type with a max CP of 3,385. We also might get some sort of event in the future where we're going to be able to evolve to these Pokemon, kind of like back in the day, a year-ish ago, when you were able to evolve a Cubone over to an Alolan Marowak for a limited time weekend event. Okay, so those were the obvious ones. What about the not so obvious ones? Mega Lucario. Listen, it's been years since this Pokemon was teased in the anniversary banner thing. Too long have we sat and waited patiently for this Pokemon. Too long have I spent countless dollars hatching good IV Riolu for Mega one day. Too long, I say. This year, I definitely think we see Mega Lucario as one of the main Mega releases. It's a fan favorite, there's not that many fighting Mega types, so we kind of need it. I want it. Also, Riolu got quite the spotlight in 2023 during events, which I'm assuming is prepping for its eventual Mega release, well, Lucario. Pokemon Go basically does this thing where they'll take like a super rare Pokemon and they'll like make it very expensive to hunt, and then after enough time and after enough people get it, they make it easier and easier to get, and then everybody gets it eventually. So Mega Lucario would essentially give everybody Lucario and make the Pokemon like mass available. And I think that's what they're prepping for, and I predict Lucario Mega in 2024. The newest era of Pokemon is here, the Scarlet and Violet era, which brings the Paldea region. We've already seen a handful of solid Paldean Pokemon releases, and I'm sure we'll see many more in 2024. But the big ones that I'm predicting are the key legendaries Koraidon and Miraidon. If you look into the Pokemon Go Pokedex, their places actually aren't there, which are 1,007 and 1,008. But that does not discourage me. The Pokemon Company has been pushing these two new excuses for Pokemon all year long, and it's only a matter of time before that push comes to Pokemon Go. I see this release to be similar to how Zacian and Zamazenta were released. They were unlocked by the community, luckily completing a bunch of rewards, came out once, went away, I think came back one more time, and then went away forever, because they're not like anything special. But Koraidon and Miraidon might actually be something special in-game, and the in-game sprites of them look really good. Miraidon will be a dual electric and dragon type with a very solid max CP of 4,491. And again, it looks pretty sick. It might be good as either of the typing depending on its moves. It's got a really kind of high CP. Koraidon will also max out at 4,491 CP and will be a dual fighting and dragon type, another very interesting typing, another high CP Pokemon, another one that looks great. These things honestly might be very, very useful and exciting when they eventually come to Pokemon Go, which again will happen in 2024, I think. Another Pokemon from this region I definitely think we'll see will be Annihilape. And this will for sure be released during a Mankey Community Day, kind of like how Ursa Luna was released during a Teddy Ursa Community Day. And Annihilape will be a bit of a monster, maxing out at 3,695 CP with a dual type of fighting and ghost. So it could for sure be useful in game, and I think it looks absolutely sick. It might also make sense to see this Pokemon come out during a Halloween event because it is kind of spooky. And I will also be doing another YouTube video talking about my 2024 Community Day predictions because we've got some spicy ones in there. So make sure you're subscribed here to the channel to catch that video. It'll be a good one. I can give you another epic 100% guarantee I know will happen in 2024. I will bet my channel on it. Black and White Kyurem. Do you know why I'm so confident? These two Pokemon were released recently on accident. The Niantic removed them from people's accounts, which conceptually is just insane. But regardless of that, it's obvious Niantic is planning on releasing these two brand new legendary Pokemon somewhat soon. They're literally ready to be released. They were released on accident. So how do I think they'll be released in game? I honestly don't know. But what I do know is that they were accidentally released through the Go Battle League. So maybe these are exclusive GBL encounters as part of a cool event, which would bring a lot of people into the Go Battle League using the feature. I'd be down to battle for it. I think it'd be a really, really fun thing. And these two Pokemon will be absolute monsters once they're officially here. Black Kyurem will be a dual dragon and ice type Pokemon with a max CP of 5,206. And White Kyurem will be the exact same thing. Absolute units just sitting on the sideline waiting to be brought back into the game. Also, rest in peace to the players who had these Pokemon in their accounts for a couple days and then had them so rudely removed by Niantic. I think we can all agree that Necrozma is way late to the party and it's about time it's released. Ultra Beasts were released for the first time in 2022 and we got a lot of them. And Necrozma actually appeared in an official promotional trailer alongside other Pokemon that have all been released. But for one reason or another, Necrozma still isn't here. When it eventually comes to the game, it will be a pure Psychic type with a max CP of 4,163, and most likely a solid choice in the meta, depending on what kind of moves it gets. We'll probably see it come into the raid battles like with all of the other Ultra Beasts, which we actually do have 3 of them coming back in January. And there's actually not a whole lot of Ultra Beasts left to release in Pokemon Go, so we're probably going to end up seeing a really slow release of the new ones over the next couple of years. Honestly, let's just hope Necrozma is not one of those and it just comes in 2024. Another Pokemon that is absolutely overdue and one that I predicted last year and for some reason didn't come out is Mimikyu. And when I tweeted asking for your predictions this year, it was probably the #1 most requested. People want their Mimikyu and they want it now, Niantic. You better listen to the community like you've done so well in the past. Mimikyu in Pokemon Go will be a dual ghost and fairy type with a max CP of 2,516, which is honestly a lot higher than I thought it would be considering it's tiny. But it's not going to be any use in game unless it's good in the Great League, which would require some powering up, but it might be solid. And obviously it's just a really, really cool, iconic Pokemon and one that we'll most likely see released during next year's Halloween event. Fingers crossed, we should. It's been too long. Okay, I got another few easy guarantees for new Pokemon in 2024. And I know these will be releasing because of the upcoming Sinnoh Tour event in February. Every year, a single generation is focused and there's a huge event put on to celebrate the generation called a tour event. Every time a tour event comes around, every single Pokemon from that generation and their shiny are all released. Which logically means if 2024 is the Sinnoh Tour, every single Pokemon from the Sinnoh generation will need to be released and released shiny by the end of February. And that includes 3 huge ones. Manaphy. This is a pure water-type mythical Pokemon that maxes out at a decent 3,691 CP. It's cute, fun, and possibly good. We love Manaphy. And if this gets released, its counterpart definitely will too. Phione. This is the weaker of the two, but still cool. Another pure water-type with a max CP of 2,380. Now, these two will be very exciting, and again, we will most likely see them and see them shiny as a part of this event. But the next Pokemon is the Big Daddy, the king of them all, Arceus. This is a Pokemon we've all been waiting for years, and in 2024, we should finally be getting it. Early in the year too. We have no idea how it's going to happen, but Arceus should be releasing in February of 2024. I'm hoping we get it in raids so that we could all grind it, but it might be something that comes just as special research. During every tour event every year, there's a masterwork research that's unlocked as part of finishing out the event, and there's always like big exclusive, usually mythical Pokemon inside the masterwork research. It's a difficult research with a big reward at the end, and that's probably where Arceus will be. But we'll have to see. But again, these 3 Sinnoh Pokemon, along with all of the shinies from the Sinnoh region, should be releasing in February, which is just really exciting news. One huge Hail Mary I'll throw out for 2024 that I honestly don't think they'll actually do, but would be cool: Paradox Pokemon. As part of the new Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games, new versions of old Pokemon were released. These Pokemon, called Paradox Pokemon, basically look like super futuristic versions of previous ones, like Gallade, Salamence, and Tyranitar. They're honestly kind of cool, but will most likely require a whole new mechanic in order to release in Pokemon Go. Definitely possible for 2024, but it seems like too much work for Niantic right now. But I guess me mentioning it in this video is technically me predicting it, so screw it! They're coming out in 2024. This is something that we should have seen this year in 2023. Shiny Galarian Birds. The Daily Incense was released in July of 2022, and with it, the Galarian Legendary Birds. So it's insane that over a year later, the Daily Incense is the same exact feature. It's gone stale. It's boring. We need something new and fun to keep the feature pizzazzful, exciting. We will need people out there using it and playing it. And man, if anything's gonna do that, and is also overdue, it's the Shiny Galarian Birds. Although, considering how rare the regular Galarian Birds are to find and how impossible they are to catch, I don't exactly know how much more fun the Daily Incense would be with the shiny Galarian Birds, but maybe if they have a 100% catch rate and they just take a lot of balls to get, that could be exciting too. And my final prediction, same as last year, is Cowboy Hat Caterpie. Let us have it, Niantic. Give it to us! And give me your predictions for 2024 Pokemon down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Check out another video on screen. See you in the next one.